Hello and welcome to Diecast Restos for my first foray into the world of 1 in 43 scale diecasts. This is a Vanguards Hillman Imp Californian. I've chosen this casting today as my dad's very first car was an Imp Californian, and he's asked me to replicate his car. As this isn't available in my preferred 1 in 64 scale, this will have to do. It is in need of TLC with 2 broken wing mirrors and glue across it where someone has stuck in one of the headlight jewels. This is how a Californian looks in real life. So I'll shortly run through a bit of the history of the Imp in all its various incarnations. But first I'll describe the dismantling process. The seating interior piece is separate to the front wheel arch, and it is held in place by a spare tyre concealed within. Quite a creative solution that. This pushes the interior piece flush with the front wheel arch, which slots over the front post. I then have to push out the stubs of the old broken mirrors, which I have sourced replacements for. The tiny delicate window wipers are removed. I lost one of those in my grey carpet and spent a good hour searching for it. The cloudy glued dual headlights are levered out and will again be replaced later on. Once I've removed the riveted on bumper, I have all of my parts laid out. Designed to compete with the Mini, the Hillman Imp was produced from 1963 until 1976 by the Roots Group and successor Chrysler Europe. It had a rear-engined, rear-wheel drive layout designed to maximise passenger space and luggage capacity. An opening rear hatch allowed luggage to be stored in the back seat rest. It had an all-aluminium water-cooled engine that was well received by the motoring press, in addition to the gearbox and competitive price. Sales of the Imp in the UK were around 33,000 in 1963 and rose to 50,000 the following year. There was a slump in 1965 as the car's image took a knock due to cooling problems with that rear engine. That same year, the Mark II launched. The Imp had, until this point, only been available as a 2-door saloon in either basic or deluxe trim. Also, in 1964, a luxury version called the Singer Chamois was introduced. This had larger seats than the Imp, meaning it was more comfortable, plus had walnut trim and a dummy grille on the front, as well as better alloy wheels. But the new Mark II Imp was available not only as a saloon, but as a coupe with a more slanted rear pillar like this casting, a 3-door estate called the Husky, and a 3-door panel van. My dad's 1969 Imp was red, so I used my trusty TS8 Italian red, which he said is an accurate match. The Mark II cars had several trim and detail changes over the Mark I and had improved water cooling. The fastback styled coupes with their lowered roof lines and raked body were unveiled in January 1967. They spanned the 1968 Mark III revisions to remain on sale until 1970. Approximately 6,100 were sold in Britain, with further sent abroad. In April 1967, it was homologated by the FIA after 5,000 were produced. They were sold as either Hillman Imp Californians, Sunbeam Stilettos, or Singer Chamois coupes, each with minor styling differences. The van version of the Imp was sold as the Comma Imp, another of the Roots Group marques. Following the group's takeover by Chrysler in 1968, all models except for the Stiletto were revised as rationalisations set in. A result of this was the cease in production of the Californian. The Imp remained in production from the Linwood plant in Scotland until 1976. It was also assembled overseas. Roots' heavy investment in both the Imp and the Linwood factory contributed towards the company's demise, and later takeover. Overall, 441,000 Imps had been built during 13 years of production. During its time, only 2 engines were used, the initial 875cc inline 4 or the larger 1 litre unit available from the Mark II onwards. Despite its diminutive size, it proved to be an easy engine to tune with its overhead camshaft design. As a result, it had moderate success in rallying, but by far its biggest motorsport success was winning the British Saloon Car Championship, what is now the British Touring Car Championship. Privateer entry George Bevan's car was driven to 3 successive overall championship wins by Bill McGovern in 1970, 71 and 72. He beat the much more powerful Boss 302 Mustangs, Z28 Camaros and RS Spec Ford Escorts. Now I have a quick message from my dad that I'll read out. He says,
"Good day viewers, just a few words about my 1969 Hillman Imp Californian, which I bought as my first car mid-1975 and owned for about 18 months. It was a good, reliable car and quite quick for a small engine, only 875cc. The engine was at the rear and of course rear wheel drive, so very light at the front. Some people used to put a bag of cement under the front bonnet. I did have an oil leak from the rear main bearing oil seal. Luckily my dad was very good at car mechanics, so we removed the back bumper and rear lower panel, then lowered the engine onto a trolley and pushed the car forward, so nice and easy. The engine was aluminium cylinder head and aluminium block, with fixed cast iron liners. The 875cc engine produces 38 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in 26.8 seconds. Top speed was 81 miles per hour, not quick compared to today's cars."
So that was a message from my dad there, talking about his real Californian that I'm replicating here. I'm very much applying the finishing touches to the build now that I've almost entirely talked over with facts. After the whole thing has been washed with Citadel gloss, it is time to apply my replacement dual headlights that I picked up on eBay. These are the 4mm size and fit a variety of Corgi or similar scale models. The Vanguards range was launched by Lledo, the company founded by Matchbox co-founder Jack O'Dell in 1996. They consisted mostly British marques in true 1:43 scale. When Lledo went bankrupt in 1999, all rights were acquired by Corgi Classics. The models continued to be sold under the Lledo brand name until 2004, when it was absorbed into the Corgi Classics line. But anyway, here are all of the pieces that complete the Vanguards Hillman Imp Californian. First, I fit the window piece. After that comes the front wheel arch plastic piece, which slots over the front rivet post. Behind this, the interior will sit, which I haven't detailed as the black interior was very basic on the real thing. That imaginative tyre placeholder also finds its way back into the casting. It will align the rear arches moulded into the seating section with the cast arches of the body nicely. And then finally I fit the base piece, which has the wheels and bumper already attached. So here's how the Hillman Imp Californian looked. It was lacking wing mirrors and had glue across the bonnet from fixing in a loose headlight rather crudely. And here it is now, reimagined in red as my dad's real 1969 Californian looked when he bought it in 1975. I've replaced the wing mirrors and dual headlights with replicas from eBay. The wheels match those of his car, so they remain the same. While my finish isn't as precise as that of the factory car, I have nonetheless added in extra detail in the chrome of the window surrounds, as well as filling all the panel gaps with Citadel gloss for added depth. I managed to lose one of those fine wipers in my carpet, and they aren't reproduced anywhere, so I had a mild panic for a while. But this is another to add to my dad's collection of his old cars. It's a shame it isn't available in 1:64 size, but honestly this is similar in size to some of the larger 1 in 64 castings. So that's all from me. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.